Hello, and welcome to 5 Minutes About Pulsar. My name is Chris Johnson, and I'm on the streaming team here at DataStax. Today I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to migrate an application from JMS to Pulsar using Starlight for JMS. If you want to follow along and you don't have a deployment of Pulsar ready to go, you can go to astra.datastax.com/register-streaming and get a free instance up and running in under a minute. If you have any questions about today's video, you can email us at pulsarquestions@datastax.com. That will reach the team here at DataStax, where we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. To get started, let's talk a little bit about the history of messaging and event-driven architecture for a minute. Messaging isn't a new concept by any stretch. IBM introduced MQ series all the way back in 1993, before Yahoo even released the first search engine. But that was about 20 years ago, and RabbitMQ followed about 5 years after that. So there was about 20 years between when JMS was introduced and Kafka, which has been around since 2009. That's a lot older than people think. So we have a bunch of technologies that have been introduced over the last 25 years, all trying to solve the same problems in new ways. And if we look at the landscape today, companies have dozens, if not hundreds, of legacy applications using dated infrastructure. For one reason or another, most companies have more than one of everything, and this includes messaging platforms. There is immense pressure to keep these things running while also grappling with the move to one or more public clouds. Things have gotten way out of hand and only continue to get worse. What we need is a technology that can bridge the gap between legacy applications that are difficult to change and new ones leveraging modern tools, all while allowing teams to work wherever it makes sense. That's where Pulsar and DataStax Starlight come into the picture. Starlight enables Pulsar as a drop-in replacement for legacy messaging systems. It provides compatibility with JMS, Kafka, and RabbitMQ, enabling teams to replace their aging messaging infrastructure with Pulsar without the need for major changes to every application that uses them. This brings a level of interoperability that most applications don't have, and also allows teams to leverage their existing skill sets. So let's walk through a brief demonstration of how this looks in a JMS application. For this demo, I'll be running a simple consumer and producer pair that will first use Apache ActiveMQ, then switch to using Pulsar. We'll briefly walk through the code for each, as well as the very simple change that is needed in order to migrate the code to Pulsar. First, let's look at the code I'll be using for the demo. I've created two Java classes, a simple producer and consumer. If we look at the producer, the code's pretty simple. It creates a connection to a JMS server, gets a handle on the topic, and then publishes 10 messages. The consumer creates a connection to the JMS server in the same way, then waits for messages to arrive. This class will wait for about 30 seconds before it completes. In order to run both classes, I'm going to start an Apache ActiveMQ instance in the upper right terminal. Now that we have ActiveMQ running, let's publish the messages and see them get consumed. The first thing I'm going to do is start the consumer. Once started, it will listen for messages on the demo queue. Now that the consumer is listening, I'll run a producer and we'll see messages consumed using our ActiveMQ instance. So I've created 10 messages from the producer and they were all consumed by the consumer. Now let's stop the JMS server and start a Pulsar instance. For this demo, I'm running a Pulsar standalone instance on my laptop, but we could just as easily use a cluster of Pulsar running elsewhere. While that's starting, I'm going to switch over to my IDE and walk through what we need to do in order to start using Pulsar. In order to make these classes work with Pulsar instead of ActiveMQ, all we need to do is change where they look for their connection. To do this, we'll simply comment out creating the ActiveMQ connection factory and create a Pulsar connection factory instead. The rest of the code will remain exactly the same, letting us leverage the same JMS classes to interact with Pulsar. First, I'm going to make that change in the consumer, as well as the producer. And now I'll build a jar file that contains the classes pointing at Pulsar. Now that we have a jar, let's rerun the same classes. I'll start with the consumer and then run the producer. Now we have the consumer running. And now we have the producer. And there you go, we now have a producer and consumer using Pulsar as its messaging platform with no changes to the code outside of pointing the classes at Pulsar for their connection. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click the like button. That will make it easier for other people to find this video and grow the Pulsar community. If you have any questions or feedback, you can leave a comment below or email us at pulsarquestions@datastax.com. That will go to the Pulsar team here at DataStax. Thank you and have a great day.